Hi there. Do you ever wish you could slow down, but you feel guilty about doing that? That there's just so much to do? I want to talk you through a tool called Unhurried Productivity, which is all about staying productive while being able to do it sustainably, because often what happens is we go, and then we fall over and crash, and we have to then go and do it all again. And it's not really a very sustainable way of doing things. So I'm going to talk you through this tool, which represents a bit more of a sustainable, smart way of using your time well, so you can achieve impact over a longer game. Let's get into it. So I'm going to draw some stuff. It might get a little bit messy, but you'll get the gist of it, I reckon. So I'm going to draw a line. Over here, I'm going to write hurried. And over here, unhurried. Now, hurried or unhurried is a state of mind more than a state of movement. So you can be running flat out, but have a super calm mind. If you think of top athletes, you know, real clarity and calmness, where you can be sitting super still, but have a really, really busy mind, really sparky, lots of stuff going on in there, right? That's what I mean by hurried. This is unhurried, the opposite. And I'm saying that, not saying that one is better than the other, yet if we're too far this way all the time, it can not be very sustainable or productive. Let's keep going. This one here, I'm going to call this productive. And this one is unproductive. Now, like the hurried, unhurried, there's a bit of a definition here. In our Western society, this is good, this is not so good, right? In our Western busy, always on culture. So this, for the purposes of this tool, this is all about visible outputs, stuff you can see that you've delivered, that you've made happen. You go, tick, yep, done that. Whereas here, there's nothing visibly produced. And I'll come back to why I use these terms and why I don't think they're actually that good in a second. You see, now we've got here these 4 quadrants. I'll change colors. This one here is when we are hurried and productive. And this is what a lot of people would say, yeah, this is good, right? This is, I'm in the zone. This is what I get paid for, right? To be busy. And yeah, sure, that's right. I would call this exertion. Exertion is when we are exerting effort and we're getting good outcomes, and we're kind of like, yeah, it's kind of addictive, right? We kind of like that space, right? And it's useful and it's helpful until it's not. If we just stay here too long, then we can move into exhaustion. And you'll probably know this space, right? This idea of exhaustion, where we've just been going until we can't anymore, right? And in extreme cases, that's burnout. It's just not a great place to be. So we need to be able to find the line between those two things and also sustain our exertion in a good way. Now, how do you do that? Well, there's these other 3 quadrants. So let's have a look at these. I'm going to jump down to this one here, which is when we're unhurried and we're unproductive, as in there's no visible outputs here. Now, I'm just noticing you can't quite see the bottom of that, but it says unproductive. What do you call that one there? I reckon it's called reflection. Now, reflection is when you are stopping and you're having a bit of a think or not. It's just that letting go space where you're like, all right, let's stop doing for a bit. Now, when I ask leaders, what's this like here? They say it's horrible. You know, I feel guilty being here. I get a bit bored. In fact, the red side of this one is, I call it boredom, which is something that most of us don't like. There's an executive coach called Jerry Colliner, and he says, we take meaning from motion, and when we take away the motion, where's the meaning? And you know, it's pretty uncomfortable when we're down here. It's like, well, what am I doing here? Now, there's a lot of value in this. This is a different part of our brain called the default mode network, yes. And it's when we switch off, our brain is still going, but it's going at a subconscious level, doing work that we're not aware of, that's helping us solve problems, join dots, make connections, all those sorts of things. It's a good place to be. And being here doesn't have to mean sitting on the couch and just, you know, watching Netflix. You can actually, it's all about being able to be deliberate about how you use that off time. For me, it's about getting on the water or going for a mountain bike ride. It's still active, but I'm not hurried in my mind. It's a very different place to be. So, good stuff here. Now, what happens, of course, though, is we go here and then we bounce back here because this is what we're paid to do. This is where we get our adrenaline fix. And so there's this kind of like bounce between. You might say, oh, I've had my holiday, now back to work, right? Learn to be here, because often what happens, I'll change colors, is if we don't know how to be here, we create what's called a wall of avoidance, which is we just don't go there and we just go here and we end up going up here. Not great. All right, let's keep moving around. Once we've been in reflection and we've let go for a bit and we're doing a little bit of, let me just rest for a bit, we can move into this third space where it's the mind starts to spark up again, hurried, but we're unproductive in terms of we're not delivering output. What do you call that? I call it creation. Excuse my messy writing. Creation is where ideas are sparking. You know when you've sort of stopped and maybe you've been going for a walk and then suddenly you just, there's the epiphany, right? That's what this is about, creation. So our mind starts to arc up again, our conscious mind, and it's like, all these ideas start to come into play. We need to be able to be creative in our work, particularly in knowledge type work, right? And so this is a key place to learn how to be. It's hard to get here straight from here, though. It's hard to get here straight from, let me start that again. It's hard to be here straight from here. It's way easier to let go, let your subconscious mind do a bit of work, and then get into here. Now you're kind of wondering, well, what's the red words there, Digby? Yep, good question. I call it frustration. So frustration is when you've got the ideas, but you can't do anything with them. It's like, I want to move on this, but right now, if I'm just staying in idea land, I'm not really doing anything with them, and that can be frustrating. Right? So let's go up to this final box. What would you call that? I call it flow. And you know the flow state? It's when stuff is effortless, you are making stuff happen, it feels like time just disappears, and you're in the groove, right? You're in the zone, and it's an amazing place to be. Yet, it's not something that you can necessarily conjure up, right? You need to create the conditions for it to happen, and creating the conditions is often by being down in here first, and then moving up into that almost automatically. If we try too hard, what happens is we get into protection, where we are trying to protect this flow state. It's like we're really working hard to be in flow. It's kind of against the point, right? That flow is something that naturally happens when you give yourself some slack. And down here, this space down here is what you'd call slack time. Now, slack is an interesting word, right? Because in our culture, it has lots of negative connotations, particularly in work. Yet, for human sustainability, human performance, this stuff is essential. So the key, I reckon, for you, for all of us, is to learn how to be in the blue and know how to spot when you're going into the red and what to do. And one of the key ways to do that is just to be able to have some awareness, just to notice how you're spending your time and the state that you're in at any given moment. There's a cool tool called the Unhurried Diagnostic Tool. You can click on the link and you'll grab that. It's free, and it just gives you an opportunity over the course of a week to just work through, how do I spend my days? What zones am I in? What takes me there? And what helps me stay there? And what helps me avoid here, or at least get out of here? So that's a practical application of this model. I hope that's helpful. And go well, go unhurriedly, and see you soon. Take care.